So this is Sam Woods from the Conservation Volunteers here in the coming out of lockdown garden. And I thought today I would have a look at all the things that have been growing in containers. So these are some of my peas. They've been flowering and they are doing pretty well. So they are in a fairly small pot down here. And they are starting to produce lots of lovely peas for me, and they're doing pretty well even though they're in a fairly contained space. Just for comparison, there are some peas over here that are growing in the ground, and obviously they are doing a little bit better just because their roots have got a bit more space to spread out, but the ones in the pot are doing fairly well. And I've got 3 lots of peas in pots at different places in the garden, and they're all producing pods now quite happily. So here I have my potatoes, and this is a kind of interesting phenomenon. So in the bag at the front there are some first early potatoes that have been growing just in an old shopping bag, and behind there are some main crop potatoes that have been growing in a plastic box and are absolutely flourishing. But the first earlies are looking really quite sad. They did catch the frost early in the season, but they also seem to have been attacked and lost. One of the plants has lost its leaves. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But the same variety here, growing in the ground, are also not flourishing. So it may be that it's something to do with the variety, or it may be that the early frost damage has really knocked the plants, or there may be a pest in there. But you can see that the main crop in both the container growing and in the ground are doing really rather nicely. So I resorted to growing some things in cardboard boxes. This wasn't intended to be a long-term solution, but just to have something to hold some compost above the soil level where I've got a lot of weed growth underneath. So these are some dwarf beans, and they're doing fine. The leaves are a little bit pale, which might be a slight lack of nutrition, but they're coming up and flowering quite nicely. So they're doing okay even though they're in quite a confined space. And similarly, I've got a courgette plant here that's growing in a bit of cardboard as well, and that is actually just beginning to produce some fruit. So that's the first stage of growing in containers. I will do a second video of some of the things further down the garden.